Detroit Den 313. We're back. Stephen Will talking that Detroit Lions football. Before we get started, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button and do not forget the bell icon so you do not miss any of our new content. Steve, Detroit is just out here breaking records. Like, what are we doing?
Breaking records? Destroying records.
I mean, just hey, listen, if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it the right way. So, Steve, other than us just smacking records, is that better?
That's
Destroying, demolishing records. What are we talking today?
The Detroit Lions had, in my opinion, an ugly day. And I mean that in the absolute best way possible. Day 3 of the draft. We're going to get into it. This episode might be a little long. The other nights, the last 2 days, we've only had one player to talk about. We got a handful to talk about tonight. Let's get it started with the absolute unit of a man.
Yeah.
Giovanni Manu.
Yeah.
William. When this guy gets off the bus, people stare.
Okay.
When this guy puts on football pads, people stare. 6'8", 350 pounds. Now, when I think of 350 pounds, I'm thinking sloppy, ugly, not looking good. Not with Giovanni Manu. This guy is a unit, well put together, athletic freak. You sent me a little clip today for some YouTube highlights that I posted on Twitter. Give me your thoughts on Giovanni.
Well, first things first, I got a question before I even get into it. You see Giovanni in an alley, and he looks angry. You walking out of the way, or are you going to go see what's going on?
I'm going to go see what's going on. I ain't scared.
That's a lie. That is absolute lie. As the kids say, that's cap.
You're
running for your life.
You could be as big as you want. You could be as big as you want. I got that 40 cal on my side.
Hey, listen. He might walk through it.
Yeah, he might. It might take a couple.
He might walk through it. Listen, he was a guy I was up on, man, and I kind of looked at him like this. Is he another one of those freak athletes? That maybe they put a little bit more on it, maybe they churched it up a little bit, maybe they, what I mean, didn't play that great of competition. So then I did a little bit more digging. This is before today, and I was like, man, it looks legit, and people are talking about him. And then he had a visit with the Lions, and I was like, okay. I don't really know what that looks like, because it was some guys that I was pretty high on and pretty enamored with. Maybe that's a back half of the draft thing. So I don't know, but it looks like dude can play. It looks like dude can move. If you see him run, I sent you the clip today, and guys who, if you haven't seen it, go to our Twitter page, Detroit Den 313, and watch that clip, because he looks like a tight end running. Guy, 6'8", 350, ran a 4.9.
No, a 4.9 is not fast.
4.9 is fast.
For a man that large, it is exceptionally fast.
That is to me, that is like Usain Bolt.
Yeah.
When you're 6'8", 350, running fast under 5 seconds, that's a lot of man. I would not want to be in the way if he pulls out and he's running leading up on a screenplay. I would not want to be in the way when that 4.9 is coming full steam. So, but I think that when I saw him, I felt exactly like I feel right now, which is this way. The Detroit Lions has the best offensive line in football, in my opinion. What better place for a guy who has every Lord-given ability, but is a little raw, who needs to get coached up, but you can't coach being 6'8". You can't coach being a lean, and I can't even believe I'm putting these words together, a lean 350 pounds. So man, I think he's in a perfect situation. Hey, get in here with Pine, who he's already given him Pine his flowers. He's already talking him up. He says Pine is the best tackle in football. He's just happy to get an opportunity to play with him and learn from him. Get in here with Taylor Decker. Let's get in here and learn. Let's get in here and just fine-tune this monster, man. I'm excited for it. I think the sky is the limit. His ceiling is, I don't even know where to put his ceiling. How do you feel about him?
So I was listening to Brad Holmes' press conference that he did after the draft, and I keep looking over the TV just to make sure that the Lions don't sneak back into the 7th round. So if you see me looking over, that's what I'm checking for. I was watching Brad Holmes' press conference, and first thing he did was give credit to John Dorsey for catching wind of the workout he had. I don't know where the workout was. It wasn't NFL related. It was that international thing that the NFL is doing, but it wasn't through the combine. And Brad Holmes was talking about how John Dorsey found this, said, hey, man, you got to take a look at this guy. So like you said, they brought him in for a visit. It was his 9th visit in 9 days. So a lot of teams had him on their radar. A lot of teams were interested, a third of the league almost, if not more. He came in on like a Sunday afternoon, super excited. Didn't really do a workout, I don't think, for the Detroit Lions because, like I said, he had just done 9 the previous day, so he was probably a little gassed. Might have just needed a day off, but they were talking to him. Everything sounded good. And then in the press conference, my biggest question mark with this guy, Manu, was addressed. Someone asked, how do you feel about him in the competition he was going against over in the whatever league it was? I can't even think of whatever league he was in that he was drafted from. But Brad addressed that, and he said his upside versus the competition he faced was worth it in our opinion because, like you said, you can't teach size. You can't teach 6'8", 350 pounds, and you can't teach speed, 4.9 speed at that size. It's incredible. So his upside is through the roof. What he needs to learn is probably some technique. I'm just guessing, probably some footwork, some handwork, just fine tune those things. You're not going to overpower this guy. It's literally just he's got to probably work on some finesse stuff. And Brad Holmes even mentioned he's a project, just like Broderick Martin. He used those words exactly. So probably not a guy we'll see starting right away, but I can see some situations where I think if anyone's job's in trouble, it's probably Dan Skipper's.
Yeah.
And we talked about that on the phone a little bit. So I could see him coming in at that swing tackle just for a massive human being of a man for a play or two here and there when we go into jumbo packages.
Yeah.
And good luck. Good luck against these monsters of men we're throwing out there.
Doing some digging on him, man. What I'm excited about is he's played guard and tackle. So he's not even a guy who is locked into a position. With his size, you might think, man, he's going to come in and he's going to play tackle, and maybe he's a guy that's going to be the answer for Taylor Decker if we go a different direction, with his next contract or, things coming down the road. No, he's played guard. He's played tackle. The guy is versatile. The guy is athletic. The sky is the limit for him. And I think he fits the mold again of what we talked about and what we've been looking for is guys that are football players, positionless football, right? A guy, he plays offensive line. You know what I mean? He doesn't play center, guard, tackle. He plays offensive line. And if we get someone banged up, he'll be a guy that'll be able to eventually down the line be able to play. So I think that we haven't seen him in shoulder pads yet. There's a level of game speed and strength that he hasn't seen yet. So I don't know how long it'll take him to adjust to that, but he's definitely a guy that I'm looking forward to, obviously in the preseason and obviously as he develops throughout the season and hopefully throughout a long career with the Detroit Lions. I can't wait to see him reach his peak.
Yeah. I'm excited when I'll say this. People should probably be a little nice because I think he's going to get beat up in training camp. It's just he's got to learn. He's got to take his bumps. I think that this competition compared to where he was playing is going to be he's going to school and he's going against grown men in the NFL who are doing this for a living, who are fighting for jobs to provide for their families. I could see him having a rough training camp, and I'm going to give him a pass right away because I understand he's coming into literally a foreign game. But let me ask you this. Out of our backup guards, we're talking Colby Swordsdahl, Awasika, Dan Skipper, and now Giovanni Manu. If one of our guards, Zeitler or Graham, goes down, out of those four, who do you think steps in right away? You think he's in the conversation?
No, I don't know that he's in a conversation, but honestly, let me take that back. Let me retract. Let me put some texture to that. If it's week 1 or 2 or 3, no, he's not in a conversation. But if we're talking week 15, then he may be in a conversation. And I don't know. I don't know that he gets ran over in training camp. And the only reason why I say that is because of his feet. I know that he was playing against some obviously subpar competition when you're comparing him to NFL guys, but the way that his feet move are different. They're special. He's an athlete. So I think that that's the biggest thing. When you're already a mammoth of a man, Might have to learn a little bit more about your leverage. Might have to learn a little bit about getting those hips forward. But man, the way he can move his feet and stay in front of guys, I think that will bode well for him. I think that could bode for him being a quick study, or what he lacks in hand placement, he might be able to make up with his feet to to help him stay in good position. So I don't know, man. He could end up being a guy that's a faster study than we think because of his athletic ability. Yet remains to be seen. But also, as much as we beat this guy up, and as much as he struggled last season, Kobe Sorstal was a guy who they talked about him having some traits that they really like. So is he a guy that takes a step forward? The Detroit Lions are a team that prides themselves on iron sharpens iron. They pride themselves on getting guys into adverse situations, and seeing what they do. We bring guys in who are supposed to respond. So I would imagine he had a strong offseason. He's got that family group of offensive linemen. We're told that group is a tight-knit group. I'm sure that he's been learning, working out, training through the offseason, getting stronger. So what Kobe Sorstal is going to come back? Is it going to be the same guy that struggled as a rookie coming out of William and Mary, or is it going to be a new guy? Is he going to show off some of those traits that Brad Holmes was excited about when he drafted him, or is he going to get buried and put to bed? I don't know, man. With the type of guys that the Detroit Lions draft, I'm not going to put anybody to bed other than maybe Kendall Vildor. And that's not even throwing any shade at Kendall. Hey, man, you're in a tough situation, sir. Yeah, you're in a tough situation, sir.
He's fighting for his life.
Yeah, you're fighting for your life out here, buddy. But other than that, I'm not going to put anybody else, man, in a situation where I'm going to say that a rookie is going to come in and get their job. He may start on the practice squad. Who knows? I can't be one to guess or say, but I'm excited for him nonetheless, man. I want to see all these guys take a step forward, and I want to see all these guys playing in the NFL. We talked about it last year, and I think that it's even bigger now. We have a Detroit Lions team where guys that get cut are gonna go start.
Yep.
Like it's can you believe it?
Did you hear what Brad Holmes said about training camp and some of these position battles?
It's gonna be a bloodbath. And it is. Think about it. Hey, Amik's not going nowhere. He's a dog. Carlton Davis, he's not going nowhere. He's a dog, man. So I mean, Terry and Arnold ain't just about to walk in. And this Rick Star, they're not just going to walk in and start. Hey, Emmanuel Mosley ain't just giving up his spot. He was out there with the San Francisco 49ers, arguably the best defense at the time, starting that corner. He ain't just giving up a spot, man. So what are we talking about right now?
They're looking at these young pups thinking they're going to sit the bench. But the young pups in their heads thinking we're coming onto this field and we're going to start.
Hey, excuse me, old dog. I recover faster than you.
Yeah, I tell you right now, it is going to be a blast to go to some of these practices at training camp. Like we got to get up there. I went to a couple last year, scorching hot, absolutely miserable, but we got to watch some football, especially with these joint practices. It's kind of not like training camps of the past. Like there's competition out there. Like you could see it on the field. The quarterbacks are protected, which is a good thing. But I'll tell you right now, I am going to make my way to as many practices as I possibly can. I got to see some of these battles. I got to see who's playing with who. I got to see it with my own two eyes. I could sit here and talk about Giovanni Manu all night, but we're 13 minutes in and we got some other guys to talk about.
Yeah.
So with the next pick, the Detroit Lions took a guy that we both had in our mock drafts a little later than 5. You and me aren't GMs though. Brad Holmes saw a little bit more, got to talk to him. Sione Vaki out of Utah.
Yep.
Absolute Swiss. When I think of a Swiss Army knife, like just a tool that can do everything, put Sione Vaki's picture on Google when you look up Swiss Army knife, because that's exactly what should pop up.
Yeah, he's exactly what I thought that he was going to be. I did hear that they were looking at him on more of the offensive side, and I've been hearing grumblings on Twitter, and I heard it on the radio a little bit. Guys talking about Craig Reynolds potentially being in trouble and all of this stuff. Guys, let's pump the brakes on that, because I don't think that that's what the situation is. Sione was.
Can I real quick? Can I say something about that? Because Brad Holmes covered that in his interview as well. He basically, someone asked him. I want to say it was someone from 97 won the ticket. The voice sounded very familiar. Was asking about that, because when he came in, like you said, he worked out with the offense. He worked out with Ben Johnson and Scotty, and they asked, and Brad Holmes pretty much said, No comment about that. We're not gonna close the door. He's gonna come in here and we're gonna see what he can do and where he fits. So
yeah,
I saw the same stuff on Twitter. So I got that as a note right here. I just wanted to get that Brad Holmes topic out there while we're talking about it.
Yeah, but Brad's a gangster. He's lying. So I don't. He's not going to tell you. He's not going to tell you I'm coming in and he's going to come in and compete with Craig. He's not going to tell you that. But if you can read between the lines, you number one, I'll speak for me. The reason why I had him on every mock draft, it was because of his versatility and because I believe that the Detroit Lions are a team that values special teams. They value it and they think that they look at it as an area that you can win football games. They want guys who are talented and special on special teams. So now, I'll give a hot take. I was going to hold on to it, but I'll give a hot take. Sione Vaki is going to win us a football game. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's a important football game.
Blocked punt, something like that.
So, yeah, because here's why. He's a guy who's played some quarterback, played some running back, played some safety, right?
And receiver.
So, yeah. So, he's a guy who he's just a football player, right? But he's also most likely never going to be the Lions starting running back. He's most likely never going to be the Lions starting safety. But what he can be is a guy who ends up going to the Hall of Fame as a special teamer because he's special at special teams. He can mess around and have a fake punt where he's throwing the football. He can be running the football like Reeves Maven had fake punts running the football, reverse passes. I mean, the list goes on. When you put him in as the up back, the possibilities are literally endless, right?
Head on a swivel. You don't know what's going to happen.
So what does that mean? For a punt return team or a punt team, even, you got to account for this guy, man. He's willing to run down as a gunner or as a guy running from the inside or outside of a punt team with a reckless abandon and launch his body and try to force fumbles on a fake punt. He's a guy who could be throwing the football, right? So if we're punting the ball, you're receiving the ball, and you can't just go back and set up your return. You got to account for this guy and what he may do, you know what I mean? And we still got Reeves Maven, you know what I mean? So there's guys that are going to be athletes. Malcolm Rodriguez is another one. These are guys that are athletes that you have to account for. Malcolm Rodriguez can play offense, can play defense, was playing safety at first in college. Like we really look at these special teams positions, man, and we got superstars on special teams. Everybody knows Malcolm Rodriguez and the cowboy dance, and so like it's something that we take really seriously, man. And I'm excited to see because I guarantee, man, he's gonna do something special, man. There's a reason why Brad traded up to go get him. There's a reason why he said he woke up this morning and was like, "Hey, man, I couldn't sleep last night. I was thinking about him." And Brad or Dan said, "Hey, yeah, let's go." Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. He was like,
they also mentioned another player that they were both thinking about.
Yeah, we'll get to
it. Was the guy we just talked about. Giovanni Manu was the two guys he said in his press conference. And this is a three-phase player. Yeah. Don't know what he's going to do. Maybe he comes in and plays running back. Maybe he plays safety if we get some guys banged up. Special teams, new kickoff rules. Maybe he comes in, blocks a punt. Maybe we use him in some trick plays on special teams, like endless possibilities. Also played wide receiver in high school, 1,400 yards receiving. Like this guy's just comfortable with football. He's just comfortable anywhere you put him on the field.
He's a football player.
Doesn't matter the scenario. Played running back, safety, special teams, kick return, wide receiver. And I'll tell you this. I'll tell you what. This is the most excited I've ever been watching Brad Holmes in a press conference. They talked about his pro day. He worked out full workouts with very, very little breaks in between at running back, safety, wide receiver, and special teams. Okay. 4 phases he worked out in a full day. And Brad said, we gave him a couple minutes. He took a break, got a couple waters in him, went right back out there, full workouts at 4 different positions. It's incredible. This guy's a hell of an athlete. Absolute steal of the draft. I think he's going to be one of those fan favorites a couple years from now.
Pump the brakes.
I'm telling you right now, he's already got one fan favorite, and his name's Steve Perkins. I love this.
I really like him. I really like him. Steal of the draft might be a little much though.
Name a guy in the draft more versatile.
More versatile?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think versatility is necessarily a steal of the draft. I think that if Manu comes in and plays right tackle for a decade, I think that might be the steal of the draft.
We can't go backwards and talk about man. We were talking.
I'm just saying. Hey, steal the draft might be much. He's still a special teamer. Like timeout. Hold on. Wait a minute.
Steal the draft, William. Next, round 6, pick 189. A guy that I think we talked about earlier when we first started doing some prospects. Out of LSU, defensive tackle, Mekhi Wingo.
Yeah.
There's only one thing I don't like about him, and it's that he's a little bit shorter than I would like. Other than that, stud.
I think that it's not even about him necessarily only being short. He's got small hands and short arms as well. So those are all things that I worry about when you look at guys, man, and you want them to be able to get a rush. But what he is very twitchy. And from a personal standpoint, I like those guys that are twitched up. I don't have his numbers in front of me. I believe he ran a 4.9 as well, though. But more importantly, the number that I do know is he ran a 1.6 10-yard. So we talk about these receivers that run mid 1.5s or even late or high 1.5s, and he ran a 1.6 at 285 pounds. So bottom line is the guy is twitched up. And for me, Brad alluded to it, and I was kind of already there when they picked him. And what excited me about it was hybrid situations. I think he's going to be a rotational piece. I don't know that people were talking about, man, potentially on the back end of this thing. Could he be a starter? You never know or whatever. And maybe I don't want to ever take anything away from a guy and say that it can't happen. It's not something that I see with guys like Aleem McNeil and DJ Reader running around this earth. But if he's our starting defensive tackle, we might not be in the greatest situation. But a guy coming in rotationally like that, twitched up like that, eager to learn with one of the best, if not the best, defensive line coaches in the NFL. What excites me is the fact that he's taking some snaps at defensive end, right? So if we're in a rush situation and we do it with Pascal, we do it with Kaminsky, throw him out there at the end. Maybe we throw him out there at DN in a pass rush situation and next to DJ Reader, Lee McNeil, Nathan Hutchinson. He's a hybrid guy. He doesn't necessarily have a true blue lockdown position. And I think that's ultimately how we're going to end up using him. He'll be a rotational piece. He'll be a guy that comes in and gives breaks. He'll be a guy that comes in and rushes from different angles and different spots and different situations. And I'm excited to see how we use him. But he's twitched up, and getting a guy twitched up like that in the 6th round, Merry Christmas.
You can never have too many defensive linemen. The more guys you could shuffle in and out, get some of those big boys like Reader a break. Hey, man, take a series off. We'll put in Wingo. Hey, Aleem, take a break off. We're going to run with Wingo and McNeil, or Reader. We have a lot of options we can shuffle around to keep some guys fresh, not letting teams get in a hurry up offense to keep certain guys on the field. I think we got some very favorable matchups on that D line. I don't have a whole lot to say about Mekhi Wingo. I like the pick. I think he was a projected 3rd rounder, and we got him in round 6. So I think the value there is good. But like you said, I think he's going to be a rotational guy. I don't think he's ready to be a starter day one. Obviously, I don't even know about season 1, but maybe 2 or 3 years down the road, we'll have to just see how he develops.
Yeah, for sure.
William, this next guy, we talked about him quite a bit, especially
Buckle your seatbelt. Buckle your seatbelt for this guy.
All right, yes. I'm buckled up. Round 6, pick 210, Boston College, offensive guard or offensive lineman, Christian Mahogany.
I have a couple buddies, man, that have told me that their children watch this show, and I'm going to respect that and not say what I really want to say.
We keep it clean. All right, we're a family show today.
We got a freaking monster. And listen, he's somebody that I had mocked. Obviously, I had him a little bit higher. I don't know if I put him in my true blue final mock draft, but I had him on my draft board fairly high when I was talking about guards. I always mentioned him. But here's some stuff that people may not know, right? 2021, he had a dog season, just was a killer, right? So 2022 draft, Mel Kiper had him. He was going to be the number 2 guard ranked coming out of that draft. Ends up getting hurt in a freak accident back home, right? Tears his ACL. Right, so has to sit out that season. Obviously, had a come to Jesus moment. Comes back, has to go through rehab, get back right, get back healthy. Few things I like about this kid. Throughout that process, he was getting all types of calls, man, because Boston College got absolutely blasted that season. I think they only won 3 games. Yeah. So when he came back and he was healthy for the following season, everybody was knocking at the door. The Georgias, the Alabamas of the world, like everybody wanted him. Hey, number 2 guard in the country.
Yeah, he could have hit the transfer portal and went on an SEC powerhouse and transferred.
Yeah, come on over here, man. Maybe go after a natty or something. He said, "Hey, I want to stay home. I want to compete where I'm at. I want to stay loyal to the group that brought me in and gave me the opportunity to get where I am now, man." So, guys like that, I love it, man. It seems like from just even that aspect of it, it fits right in with the Detroit Lions. But then his high school coach has some things to say about him, and he said, he's the type of guy who plays with a nastiness and a fire about him, man. He's the type of guy that if the guys around him aren't doing the things that they're supposed to be doing, he's going to talk to you about it and let you know what's going on. And he has a way of squeezing all of the juice out of the fruit, is what he said, right? So he has a way of maximizing every situation that he's in. You mean to tell me that we got a guy like that? A guy who was at one time the second best guard coming out in the draft. We got him in the 27th round. What are we talking about, Steve? Steve, what are we talking about? Like, when I look at this board, man, it's like in its rake straw, their second highest ranked corner, a corner that we only talked about whether we like him or not based on Nate Wiggins and Quinyon Mitchell or whatever. But you said it. I'll give you your flowers. Hey, man, if he was around there at like 61, then I'd take him. You know what I mean? And I told you that I felt like he was a first-round talent. We got him at 61. Terry and Arnold just fell into our laps like a little Christmas gift. We found some half Thor freak of nature.
Hey, that is the official nickname of Giovanni Manu is half Thor.
Yeah, Giovanni half Thor Manu, man. We found him on
if anyone puts that on a t-shirt, I'm coming at you with copyright infringement.
And we found that dude on the street. Then we found some Swiss Army knife that plays quarterback, running back, receiver, safety, corner. Hey, what do you need him to punt? What are we doing? Right. We found that. Then you're telling me Wingo's here, right? Because he got hurt and his stock went down a little bit. And then we wrap this thing up with a guard that, man, I really thought could have been a third rounder. You know what I mean? So, Steve,
I'll be honest. I don't know if he was in either one of our official mock drafts. I'd have to go back and rewatch that video. But I know for a fact he was in a lot of our practice mock drafts where we were taking him in the second round, third round, and we got him in round 6.
Yeah, we talked about him a ton. Like he always got talked about. We were like, hey, even though we drafted Jackson Powers Johnson or Graham Barton, there'd be other guys there, and we would always say Christian Mahogany and and Zach Zenners, and we would talk about those guys, man. So, wow.
So, again, going back to the Brad Holmes interview, someone asked him about how he fell, and I'm not concerned about it, but someone just kind of Brad Holmes had said, well, there was something going on that we're going to keep in house. That's what he said. That was probably a reason why he fell so late. Now, I respect Brad for not putting his business out there. If Brad obviously knows about whatever it was, I'm not even going to speculate. I'm not going to guess, but he said that there was something out there. We'll keep it in-house. There was some other guys I had more questions about. So I found that a little interesting. Obviously, I don't think it's like a Cam Sutton situation or anything, but it might be a little something. And we're humans. We've all made mistakes, except for me. I don't think I've ever made a mistake in my life that I can think of recently. So, I mean, I'm probably one of few, but
guys, just put all his mistakes in the chat. So.
So yeah, that was kind of stuff that I found interesting. But again, this is a guy with second round talent. At one point was rated the number 2 guard in the country.
Yeah.
Could have transferred to Michigan, Ohio State, Georgia, Texas. He could have had his pick of the litter, staying home, staying with the Eagles. I want to see this thing through. Now he's a Detroit Lion. And I think that's all we got to talk about with who we've drafted. But I'm going to ask you a question, Will.
Talk to me.
What was your biggest concern coming into the draft that we had talked about before?
Pass rush, third quarters, right, for me. You know what I mean? I wanted to shore up that third quarter situation. I want to shore up that pass rush. And then lastly, it was making sure that we got some depth and protected Jared Goff.
Now, do you think we added enough pass rush in this draft?
I do, man. And here's why I believe that. I talked about a couple of things. One, we were bantering about it a little bit, that I think that DJ Reader added pass rush to us, man. Like, yeah, I think that people are underrating that. And I don't mean you, I mean a lot of people that talk about it in the comments. But what we kind of banter back and forth about is Marcus Davenport, James Houston, Josh Pascal gonna be enough? And I think that you and I could debate that a little bit more if they just drafted Ennis Rakestraw.
Yep.
Right? But when you draft Terry Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw, I think that that's going to be a huge difference maker, because now you got fresh guys, man. Now you got a bloodbath going through training camp. Now you can, like we talk about all the time, those guys are attached to a string. So even though maybe if we would have got Chop Robinson or one of these edge rushers, maybe if they got there a split second faster, we could have had a corner that was slightly subpar, right? Or slightly not as good. But I think the other side of that is also true. If you have corners that are better than an average corner, maybe they can cover for that split second longer, right? And that's worst case scenario. To me, that's if Marcus Davenport, James Houston, Josh Pascal aren't successful. But Steve.
William, I don't think I could have said it any better myself.
Mm.
I'll just say this, 2 words: coverage sacks. By covering just a split second longer, making that quarterback drop back at pump fake, that's one more, that's a half a second. That's a half a second he has to hold that ball a little bit longer. That's a half a second for Aiden Hutchinson, Ali McNeil, DJ Reader, John Kaminsky, Josh Pascal, James Houston, Marcus Davenport to get there. You know who else, shame on us, we didn't mention yesterday, is Levi Onwuzurike, another guy that
we mentioned him. We talked about him.
Did we? I thought maybe we might have skipped him. But anyway,
we talked about him.
He's in that same category. We're looking at a guy that's coming into what, year 3? Kind of like somewhere around there.
3 or 4.
Kind of like an Iffy Melifonwu, who's kind of starting to blossom. Could Levi Onwuzurike take that big step and become another solid D tackle to get a pass rush? There's options out there. Just because we did not draft a edge linebacker or a defensive end that a lot of people wanted, and trust me, guys, you're preaching to the choir. That was my number one need. I was sitting at that draft praying for Jared Verse to fall to the Detroit Lions. He didn't. I was disappointed. Moved on. Terry Arnold, love it. A draft. We go out and get Ennis Rakestraw, another coverage guy. We can play press man, off man, you name it, he could play it. We've got some guys who can cover. We got some guys who play defense. It takes 11 guys on defense to get sacks. It's not always just one. It's not just one-on-ones. There's other ways you can get some sacks. We got some guys who can get some pressure. I will tell you right now, we have been very critical of James Houston. I have never wanted to be more wrong in my entire life that James Houston comes out and plays like he did, even if it's 3rd and 11 and I bring him on the field and I know they're passing. I understand he's a liability in the passing game, but he's still a guy with elite speed. Maybe he's learned a few more tricks. Maybe he's learned a little spin move or a rip move or a swim move. He could be an absolute problem on the other side of Aiden Hutchinson. And now we've got Rakestraw, Arnold, Carlton Davis, Brian Branch, maybe Vaki, Amik Robertson, like Emmanuel Mosley. Like, we got those guys in the backfield while we're sending some dogs to get after it.
Steve, can I talk some numbers with you?
I'm a numbers guy.
I am too, man. And mathematically, I guess it still would be mathematics, but if you're gonna ask me to do general math for the sake of doing general math, it's not something that interests me. But when
I'll do anything but long division, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, when you start talking about those numbers on the football field, right, when we start talking about the differences from the hashes or what different zones or like player personnel situations, that's my game. I enjoy that. So you're talking about having 5 down linemen, right? 5 down linemen. Right?
Sure.
You got a couple of guards, you got a tackle, and you got a center. Right. That's 5, right?
Standard formation for an offense.
Then you got a quarterback, right? That's 6, right? Now I got 5 other people that are on that field. right? Who can all be eligible threats, right? Eligible threats, probably a running back, maybe 4 receivers. You might have a tight end in the mix somewhere, whatever. Five threats that I got to worry about. I got 5 dog corners, right? So what does that mean to me? Right, immediately, I can do so many things to you now. I might just blitz you. I might just send the house and let these guys just go be dogs because all they did all training camp was have a bloodbath and sharpen each other. Right? I might just go let Brian Branch and Meek Robertson or Robertson and Emmanuel Mosley and Ennis Rakestraw and Carlton Davis and Terrion Arnold just go play man and be dogs. Maybe I do that. And then I just go send Jack. Jack, just go get him, man. Just go have a field day. Hey, Iffy, why don't you go in there and go chase these guys now, right? Because you ain't an easy block for a running back, buddy. So go sit in the house and come off the edge like you've been. Hey, Brian, man. Hey, we're gonna pretend like you're covering the slot receiver, and then you just go, man. You go do your thing. We're gonna let these guys cover man to man. I think it's underrated what we are gonna be able to do to people. Just blitzing now, just blitzing, and Lord forbid, we got all these IQs out there. Brian Branch, IQ out of this world, football IQ. Terrion Arnold, it's already been talked about. IQ out of this world, right? Carlton Davis, sticky, icky, man-to-man coverage, right? Like when we send these guys and it looks like we're in man, and now all of a sudden we're in zone where all these guys with this huge IQ, and you got just Jack Campbell out there just being 6'5", long and just taking up all types of space. You got a guy like Alex Anzalone just out there just being smart, veteran football player that's seen it all. This field's going to get small. It's going to get small, and things are going to happen fast. Listen, Aaron Glenn, I have been an advocate for you even when Steve wanted to fire you. Right, even when Steve wanted you out of time.
I changed my mind through.
I know. I just had to throw it out there. I just had to throw it out there. Steve loves you 99%. I love you 100. I got that extra percentage out there, AG. I just want you to know in case you watch the show.
99.9.
You know what I mean? So that's fair. I got the 0.1, whatever. But
good man.
AG, if you don't get it done now, baby, if you don't get it done now, I got no answers for it. I can't come on here. Maybe if I don't have anything good to say, I won't say anything, but I can't come on here and have your back if you don't get it done now, because we should be doing darn near whatever we want, right? Like we should be, all I should see all game is, Steve, my excitement level is through the roof. Again, we talked about it. Brad would probably do something that we didn't think that he would do. Drafting 2 corners immediately was not something that I had on the board.
Not back to back, not in round 1 and 2. I
that's what
like I'm saying. One in round 1 and another one in round 4 or something like that. I could have understood, but yeah, that was the only thing that really surprised me. So kind of leads me to my next question. Draft's over. It's wrapped up. I'm looking at the screen. UFC is now on TV. So the draft is over. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this NFL draft class in 2024?
We're talking about the Lions?
Yes, just the Lions.
Man, that's tough, man.
That's what good journalists do. They ask the tough questions, William.
I gotta give it a B plus. I gotta give it a B plus.
That's not a 1 to 10, but I think I'll allow it.
I gotta give it a B plus, right? So I gotta give it, an 8.9, Steve.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is because we don't give out A's at Detroit Den 313. It's got to be something crazy. So other than that, if I could give you an A, I would. But I mean, I can't. So I'm giving you everything. I'm giving you the 89. I'm giving you the 8.9 because that's the highest that we can go at Detroit Den 313 currently, unless you just do something crazy. But there's a lot of things that happen that I just don't even understand how they were possible. Like I said, Terrion Arnold was one of my favorite corners in this draft, and how we got him at pick 24, it's just still that beyond my mind. Ennis Rakestraw still being there at 61 is still kind of blowing my mind, and just having a GM with the cojones, right, to go back-to-back corner, man, and decide that he's gonna just do whatever he wants, man. Best player on his board, he's gonna pull the trigger. It's just special, man. I can't wait to get these guys on the field. I really value my life, and I don't like to waste days. But if the good Lord asked me, he said, "Hey, would you be cool with fast forward into football season?" I might just say yes. I might just say, "Yeah, we'll you can have them days. Hey,
I'm ready to just fast forward summer."
So yeah, man. Yeah, but you can't throw that at me and not answer it too, man. So what do you rank it?
Let me just break it down for you real quick, William.
Talk to me.
Just take you to church. We have how many draft picks? We got six draft picks. We got 1, 2, 3, 6 draft picks. 5 of them are going to see the field this year. Giovanni Manu, maybe he sees the field. Maybe he comes in and plays that swing tackle. Maybe he really develops in training camp. But even if he doesn't, I got 5 guys who are getting on this football field. Christian Mahogany, if someone gets banged up, we know Frank's, old. He's got that toe. Might have to slide Graham over to center. Might have to put Mahogany in there at guard. Maybe he'll have to come in and battle.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at 5 potential impact players. One guy who I think 2 years from now is going to be our starting right tackle. If Decker hangs him up, we're going to slide Penny Sewell over to left tackle. Giovanni Manu, an absolute half Thor, as we call him here. Detroit Den official name. T-shirts are being made. Potential starting right tackle. I'm going to do something I don't do. I'm going to give this draft an A.
Whoa!
I'm going to give it an A. Now.
We don't. I thought we weren't even allowed to do that.
But here's the thing. I know we didn't get our pass rusher, but we've talked about it. Our pass rush is going to be better. Our pass defense is going to be better. Yep. We will not be going out there and giving up 400 passing yards a game like we were the last 7-8 games of the year last year. It's fixed. Arnold, Rakestraw, make it better. Our free agents that we added, Carlton Davis, Robertson, fixed it. Emmanuel Mosley coming back, fixed it. Broderick Martin, going to be some help in the pass rush there. James Houston takes a step forward. This defense is going to be elite. I'm giving this draft an A. And at the beginning of the show, I called it an ugly draft, and I meant that in a good way. We didn't get anything sexy. We didn't get that flashy wide receiver, a flashy running back, a backup quarterback. We didn't get anything sexy.
Whoa.
But
Terry Arnold is sexy. He might mess around and be the face of the league.
He might, and please God, let it be the next Sauce Gardner. This defense will be top 5. Yeah. But I'm just saying, we didn't get any sexy skill positions. Is that better for you? But just because you can't draft them on your fantasy football team doesn't mean we didn't have a hell of a draft.
Yeah.
I don't like to give out A's. I'm a little leery about this, but when I just look at it on paper, 5 guys who are going to see the field, and potentially my starting right tackle for the next 8 to 10 years. So that's how I'm looking at it. I give it an A. We addressed the offensive line. We addressed the pass rush. The only thing we didn't really get was another playmaker, but our offense was top 5. So I'm not worried about it. Best O-line in football, best running backs, best wide receiver, best right tackle. Jameson Williams is going to take a huge step forward. So I'm not worried about anything getting vanilla. A draft, A-, still an A.
Donovan Peoples-Jones looks like David Boston. Look out, world. We're coming. Maybe
Sione Vaki play some slot receiver. I don't know.
Who knows? who knows what's going on, man? We're about to sign Tracy Walker. I mean, we're in a good spot, man.
So, guys, draft's over. We recapped every single draft pick from day 3 mostly. We talked a little bit about the guys from days 1 and 2. We do have some videos on that. If you want to go to our page, check it out. Leave some comments down below. Hit that like button. If you're new, stick around, subscribe. We'll be back later with another episode.
Peace.